what we want to do is talk a little bit about your setup for power and going from show to show, Mike. We know for a number of years you guys have used a consolidated power pack system, so you can kind of close it up, easily transport it,
right.
And it's very reliable and easy to set up. So can you talk a little bit about some of the systems that you've done?
We've like any club in model railroading, you got a certain amount of electronics that has to go with it, okay? And sometimes that can be a nightmare, or you can kind of rethink it and try to make it as pre-wired and streamlined as you can. That was our goal. So originally, I took one of these DeWalt tool cases. It could be any brand tool case, but basically to hold some of the stuff we needed, and then build out a little electronic area in the top of it, okay? So we're DigiTRAK's club, so we'd have the command station. Underneath that blue panel is a 30-amp computer-style power supply. I could actually run 3 command stations off of it if I needed to. We wire in switches for AC/DC operation. That's a DigiTRAK's PM42 power management board. So our output goes to that, and then the output sides go to our bus power drops, which is power pole connectors, okay? Then we do a little antenna tower, if you will, and that's got our UP5 interface and the UART93, or it could have been a UART92 or 91 back in the day. Now we run a Raspberry Pi with a touch screen, and we let it launch a wireless network for us for all of the throttle or tablet, phone throttle operation. We chose to add a router to it because the router is more robust and can handle more of the traffic. And so we can actually have 18 to 20 users on there without a problem at one time. As opposed to if we left it with just a generic Raspberry Pi, it's kind of a 6 to 8 user cap.
And you say it's a JMRI program.
JMRI software. It's free to download. It's free from the website. And it's on a little micro SD card. And when I power that on, a minute later that network's up and running and we're ready to log into it.
Yep.
To support it, not only could your personal phone be used, but we have a lot of the older phones, or we bought the cheap generic Android phones as club throttles. That was a way to handle it. You know, you can spend $200 or $300 on a DigiTRAK throttle, or I can spend $100 on the unlocked generic Android phone, and it's got a brand new battery in it, and it runs for 2 or 3 years. And when we get to the point where we need to replace it, fine, we get another one. It's disposable at that point.
No, right? I think that's an excellent idea that you guys kind of recycle the phones with the apps on them so you can use them as throttles.
This Apple phone that we have, this is an Apple 7S. This is from my daughter and grandkids. When they refresh, this one still works, so I wiped it clean, and we use that at every show. So those are in a travel case. Shut them up. This packs down. Lift it right into the back of the trailer, the back of the RAV, or whatever. You can take it around, wheel it around. This became kind of an evolution of this. We saw your box and worked with you guys, and I said, I'd like to make one that size too. This can be a standalone second unit. We can do 2 shows at 2 locations, but more importantly, all of these components are these components. So they're a backup or redundancy if we had an issue. And the only non-redundancy is, instead of the DigiTRAK's board, these are the PSX circuit breaker boards.
Okay.
They're only DCC adaptable, but I prefer them. They're faster, they're more accurate, and we also made sure I put the speakers on them so we get the sound chirp to notify people. That was the only change there. Same power supply. I could run 3 of these. We have 2 of the 240s, 2 of the UART93s, the Raspberry Pi, and the touchscreen, and it's all the same. AC power here. This side's got the power pole connector for the bus line to connect in. This can sit on a table or whatever.
We've been talking about that as a club. So as we've been setting up the unit that you saw at our in-scale weekend,
Right.
We've been talking about that redundancy across our club layouts because we also have an N-Trak layout that we still run at several shows.
Okay.
And we want redundancy between the T-TRAK setup, the N-Trak setup, and any other thing that we do as a travel layout. Even within our permanent club layout, we've been looking at trying to use the same types of components so that, again, you have that backup. Everybody knows how everything works. You kind of have one training system, so everybody knows what the pieces do, and it's easy to swap them out and change that if needed.
Well, and we've had to do the same thing. I don't want to be the only keeper of the keys. Okay? Something could happen to me tomorrow, right? So many of our other members, Paul, Jim West, a lot of them, another guy that's not here, are very tech savvy in a lot of cases, maybe even more than me, okay? And they all know how to hook this stuff up. And there'll be certain shows we'll go to that I'll okay, it's your turn, and I stand back. I'm there if I need to, you missed this cable. Just like I did today on a network cable. But, that way anybody can go out and put it together and operate it, right?
Yep. Now you use the power pole setup with your bus cables, right? Mm-hmm. So that's something that we as a club has also just recently started building up our bus cables connections. On your modules that you do as a club, do you build your power poles right into your modules, or do you use drops coming off for it?
We do the power pole on the modules. Of course, it won't be readily available, right? Okay.
I wasn't expecting me to ask that question.
I buy the Cotto rail joiner drops.
Okay.
Cut the ends off, buy the power poles, and we even color coded them out to kind of take that oops out of the way.
Yep.
And then I wire them up, and we make them available to any club member building a new module. That way we already have a few of these wired the way they need to be to the spec, okay, available quickly for our club members. And they just contact me, and then I mail them to them or get them to them at a meeting or a show or whatever.
No, I like that idea.
And then we just buy the raw stock in bulk, a bunch of it, and then I put the packages together.
And we've started doing some of the power pole connectors directly on the modules, like you're doing. But there has been some confusion about the wiring, what order they need to be stacked, that kind of thing, to work with our bus system. So I like the idea of doing kind of a pre-wire, pre-setup, so the club knows what the standard is, and it makes it easier.
Which configuration you put this at would be your guys' choice, okay? If you wanted the red and black on this side, or you wanted them top and bottom, that's your call, okay? We know what the standard is. We know red is the main line front, okay? And we know yellow is the inside, okay? So we know what those are, and you just wire them up that way. But if you've done it, or whoever the couple of techs in any club are the ones doing it, you've got consistency in what you're doing, so when others put it in, most of the time they're going to put it in correctly.
Yep. No, I like that.
I mean, I even go as far as putting the same color code tape on the ends of these, so when they're connecting them to their track, they know, this is for the red.
Yep.
And I know it's blue, white, blue. Okay, so do it that way. But power pole for us goes back, this is our 34th year as a club, and it was the N-Trak standard originally, the great big modules, and then it migrated to other versions of N-Trak, but power pole was always the boss.
Yeah.
And the original layouts had power pole that strung all underneath, and also the old Cinch Jones connectors, the little round ones, right? Yeah. So we had those. We just continued on. When we started doing T-TRAK, we only know using heavy gauge wire and power pole for bus lines, so that's what we did. Okay, and we just made it work. I come out of the command stations with a main bus feed cable that feeds a point on the layout to a go in and go out box. They're just utility electrical boxes.
Yep.
That I have multiple power pole connectors in them, and I've done bus bar wiring inside. Okay, and so we can feed the box on any side, and then all the rest of those become outputs.
Yep.
And now with the 12 gauge or 14 gauge landscape cable, 600 volt landscape cable, nice robust, long runs, no loss, no loss. We connect to the modules wherever we want around the layout. And we get good solid power. I put the ramp meter on this layout that we set up here, and with the bus feeds we have, we're 12.2 to 12.6 volts anywhere on the layout. Everywhere we test, anywhere. And I put it on every module that was here. So trains run good.
Yep. Very good. Mike, I really appreciate it. We are just loving this weekend. We're having a great time running trains, and
well, we're glad to have you guys here.
We'll probably be posting up some other videos as we go through the weekend. But thanks for spending some time going through that. You know, there are so many questions, especially on the T-TRAK post on Facebook. You know, I think it helps when we can talk as groups and get together and trade those ideas.
That's how we all learn. I mean, I saw what you guys did, so that got me motivated on this, right? And, you know, I saw others that had done this years ago. I mean, it's not like I'm inventing the wheel here.
Yep.
It's just guys can do that. And I see a lot of clubs are doing it now. So
yep.
it's very cool.
All right, very good. Thanks, Mike.